Okay, good morning. We continue in Sefer Shoftim. We're still in the middle of Yiftach. We're beginning Perek Yud Aleph. And we still have not fully resolved the issue of Yiftach and his daughter and the neder. And we will still get to that. I'm sorry, not Perek Yud Aleph, but rather Perek Yud Beis. Yud Beis. We're in Perek Yud Beis. And we have to do the next story. To go through the next 6 psukim, 7 psukim. And then we'll be able to come back to the vow and take care of some other things and get some closure on this topic. Okay. So Vayitza, Pasuk Aleph, Vayitza Eik Ish Ephraim Vayavor Tzafona. And the people of Ephraim gathered together, and they passed to the north. And the Malbim explains exactly what directions they were going, and what their complaints were over here. Here's that little piece over there. Okay, so what they're doing is Vayomer liYiftach, and they say to Yiftach, Madua avarta lihilochem bivnei Amon v'lonu lo karasa lolechas imoch. Why did you cross the fight with the children of Ammon, and to us you did not call to come with you? Does that sound familiar to anybody? This line? That the people of Ephraim complain why they were not called to battle?
With Dvorah was the same thing, wasn't it?
Not with Dvorah.
With Gideon.
The one I keep confusing
Gideon, that's right. Gideon, that's right.
With Gideon,
yeah.
When he was in the Perek Ches, if you look back to Perek Ches Pasuk Aleph, when he was in the midst of defeating Midian. And it's interesting, while he was in the middle of his battle, after he took the first battle and the Midianites were on the run, then the Jews gathered from Naphtali and Asher and from all of Menashe. And not that they were necessarily called by Gideon, but they found out about the war and they came. And then in Perek Ches Pasuk Aleph, the people of Ephraim says, what is this that you did not call us? And you went to fight with Midian. And they argued with him very strongly. But there, Gideon was the master of diplomacy, and he said, what are you talking about? You did much more than me. You killed these two generals, and I didn't. So he pacified them. So again, we see Gideon, who was from Menashe, and Ephraim complains to him, why didn't you call us? Similarly here with Yiftach, after he wins an outstanding victory, the people of Ephraim again say, why did you cross and not call us? Now here it's a little bit more descriptive what their complaint was. And what they want to do, it says, Beischa nisrof olecha be'esh. Your house will be burnt upon you in fire. In other words, we will burn your house with you inside it. We want to kill you. Okay, so what's going on? So Rashi says they crossed the Jordan River and they went up to the northern area of the Yarden, which is in the area of Gilad. So everything went east and then north to contend with Yiftach, and basically saying, why didn't you call us? Now, remember now that Gilad chose to make, the people of Gilad went to him and asked him that you should be our leader. You should be the Rosh and Katzin. Right? And so that already they were upset about that. And now he went to battle, he didn't call them, and they're not agreeing that he should be the leader. Right? And what's the main complaint? That, and this goes back and forth, Ephraim is contending with Menashe. Why is he contending with Menashe? Because Ephraim got the better bracha from Yaakov. Even though Menashe was the oldest, Ephraim got the better bracha. So we really are the representatives of the house of Yosef. right? So therefore they were upset. This explains on why with Gidon they were upset. But here we get much more disastrous results.
Why cursing them? Why?
What do you mean, why?
I will when I burn your house.
Well, they were very upset with him that he didn't call them.
Okay, burn your house with him in it. That's kind of fun.
Well, it kind of shows you the nature of the people involved over here. The nature of the people. In the earlier incident, just as they contended very strongly with him, doesn't give us specifics, right? Here, it's very strong language over here. I don't believe any of the Meforshim commented on this type of point that they made, that they want to burn his house. I don't believe the Malbim even says anything. No. But they're very upset with it. So Gidon defends now instead of Yiftach, instead of how Gidon was diplomatic, Yiftach is not diplomatic, but rather Yiftach just says, "This is why I did it, and this is why I'm upset with you." Pasuk Beis and Gimel explains this, and the Malbim says he has 3 points here. Vayomer Yiftach aleim. Yiftach says, Ish Riv Hayisi Ani, I was the man of Riv, of the argument and the fighting, Va'ami, and my nation, Uvnei Ammon Ma'od, with the children of Ammon very much. What does he mean to say? Number one, this whole war and this clash was between me and my tribe and the Bnei Ammon. Because Bnei Ammon, they were the ones who made trouble on the east bank for 18 years. It was our issue, it was our personal issue. It never had crossed to the west side, as it were. Number one. Number two, and I had called out to you, and you did not save me from their hands. That's point number two. During all those years, those 18 years, we asked for help. And you never offered any help. It wasn't that we weren't asking you to help us during those 18 years, and you couldn't care less about our problems. Okay, Pasuk Gimel. There, and I saw, Ki ein Moshiach, you're not coming to help. Vasima nafshi b'chapai, I put my soul in my hands, as it were. Ve'ebrol b'nei Ammon, we crossed against the b'nei Ammon. Ve'yitnem Hashem b'yadi, and Hashem gave them into my hands. Right? So in other words, if there would have been someone to help us before, wouldn't have had to bother. But we see nobody wanted to help us. So we're in a great danger. So now Hashem, with His great divine assistance, He helped us. So therefore, why have you come up against me today to fight against me? You didn't come to help in the past. All you can do now is to come to fight against me? These are not diplomatic words.
They actually came to fight against them?
Well, they said they're going to burn your house, but that doesn't seem like very...
That's not very diplomatic either.
No, they weren't either. They weren't either. So, as time passes, this is already a number of years since the earlier event with Gidon, we see that both groups were not as diplomatic.
Deteriorated very much.
And we now see the first civil war in Jewish history coming up in this pasuk now.
Who are they again?
The Ammon. Jews? No, the Ammon are like the Palestinians. They were non-Jews who lived east of the Jordan River, between the Yarmouk and the Yabok River. East, that's where Jordan is now.
They were descendants
they were descendants of Lot.
Yeah.
Okay, so those are the ones who made trouble. They were further east, and they were complaining that they took our land. So anyway, so what happens? So that's it. There was no peaceful resolution to the issue. Pasuk Daled, Vayikpos Yiftach es kol anshe Gilad, and Yiftach gathers together all the people of Gilad. Vayilochem es Ephraim, and they fight with Ephraim. Vayaku anshe Gilad es Ephraim, and the people of Ephraim were able to smite and hit and destroy Ephraim. And what gave them and we'll see how many they killed.
What destroyed who? I'm sorry.
Gilad destroys Ephraim.
Okay.
Yiftach's troops destroy Ephraim, and they mercilessly pound away at them. And we'll see in the next pasuk how many they kill. But now the pasuk is going to say, why did they? We're so relentless with this. Why didn't they let it go after a while? So explain. Now there's two ways to learn this last part of the pasuk. Kiamrukas, they said. You have to know who says what. Plite Ephraim atem. You are the remnants of Ephraim. Gilad, besoch Ephraim, besoch Menashe. Amongst Ephraim and amongst Menashe. So we'll see how the Malbim explains it. Malbim explains again, but everybody agrees. Why the explains why. Well, first of all, Malbim explains after he saw that he wasn't able to disquiet them from their being upset. We'll have to see. It's interesting. Let me just, before I get to the Malbim, the Ralbag just mentions, why did this turn out worse than the story with Gidon? Because he notices it's a very similar issue. So he says.
Well, what happened with Amnon now? Finished? That's it?
They finished Amnon.
Amnon they destroyed.
Amnon's out of the picture.
They destroyed Amnon.
They're gone, out of the picture. That's so very more. So the Ralbag says, he says, Tachas ma shiroilem ligom lo chesed al tov asher asolem. They should have had gratitude to the fact that he helped them out. Because remember, Bnei Ammon were already moving into the West Bank, and then you don't have to. Yiftach had to fight against them to push them and tear it out. If anything, there should have been a lot of gratitude that he took his life at risk, and they didn't help Yiftach at all, right? So that's terrible. And interestingly, Yiftach did not try to appease them the way Gidon did. So Ralbag gives two possible reasons. Number one, either he wasn't able to. He tried, but he saw it was a tougher chevra this time. He says, Ulai lo hayachol said, maybe he wasn't able to do it. For whatever reasons, he wasn't capable of doing it. And, which is interesting. So the first shot in the Ralbag is, he says, he'll only shtadal yiftach l'vasem. He didn't try to. Now, the first shot Ralbag is, he faults him. Why didn't he try? Second shot says, maybe he wasn't able to. Right? But because of this, Ralbag says, so many people died because greater efforts were not made. And we will see. We'll still see. So now, what was this? So now, why did they mercilessly kill? Ki amru, because they said, right, that. So in other words, they were upset about something that the Bnei Ephraim said about the people of Gilad, which it was like a big insult they heard. When Ephraim was contending with Menashe, they gave Ephraim a big insult. So as they were fighting in battle, they remembered the insult and said, that's what you said about us? We'll give it you more. We'll give it you more. And what was it that they said? So it was the Bnei Ephraim, they were critical that the people of Gilad chose to make their own shofet, like they're the main people of Yosef, and they're the representatives of Yosef, and they said, you are Pleite Ephraim atem. You are the remnants of Ephraim. Ephraim is the main shevet. As a matter of fact, even half of Menashe is on the West Bank. So really the majority of Yosef's descendants are on the West Bank. Right? And you went on the East Bank. So that shows like you're nothing. So you're like the remnants of Ephraim. Right? So it's like, like remnant people who were refugees. And really you should have been Besoch Ephraim, Besoch Menashe. You should have stayed with us too on the West Bank. Right? But you went for your own business on the East Bank, and how can you have the chutzpah to go make a leader when you're not even on the correct side of Eretz Yisrael on the west side? So it was a denigrating way of calling them the Pleitas Ephraim, the remnants of Ephraim. So the people of Gilad, as they heard, they remembered that shtoch, that strong words against them. So that when you insult someone, you better be prepared to defend yourself. And if not, they're going to remember it long and hard, and they will give you retribution as such. So that's all the Meforshim explain that's how they acted. So other Meforshim, they all is basically the same idea. But they also calling them, they're like the Pchushim Shebnei Ephraim. They're like, you're the best of you in Gilead are like the lowest of Ephraim. It's another expression of Platon, the leftovers of Ephraim. The lowest of our people is the best that you have, right? Says the Mezuzah, the most honorable of you are considered like the lowest of Ephraim. And the Radak explains that the reason they did that, called them that way, is because what were the people of Gilead on the East Bank? They were primarily shepherds. And shepherds are not exactly known as the highest moral people in general, although we have notable exceptions, the Avos and David HaMelech, etc., etc. But, and they kind of were saying, like, why did you have to go to the east side? Why did you have to leave all our people? You're just interested in your sheep and all this stuff. And therefore, generally speaking, shepherds are the lower class people. So all different kinds of insults were understood over here.
Most of our patriarchs were shepherds.
I understand. So those were the unique exceptions to the rule. And now other Meforshim say that Menashe was calling Ephraim the Platim. In other words, they were upset with them and called them the Platim. Either way, there was lots to be upset about, and this caused a lot of the terrible things that happened. Now it's interesting, the Radak adds one more little point right at the end of his commentary, which we'll explain in a minute. He says, V'hareg harav hazeh, and the great killing that happened, that the people of Ephraim sustained such terrible losses, Radak says, came from a punishment for the sins that the tribe of Ephraim did discreetly, clandestinely. In other words, Ephraim must have done some terrible averas to be punished, that so many of their people were killed. As we'll see in the next pasuk, how many were killed. But don't think, some people died just for no reason. So now, let's see what happens now. Pasuk A. So the battle is raging on, and in Pasuk A, and they're battling on the east bank. East bank, because the people from Ephraim crossed over to the east bank. So, as one group loses, they try to retreat. So in Pasuk A, Vayilkod Gilad es Mabros Hayarden Ephraim. So Gilad, the people of Gilad, they conquered and they closed off the bridges that were able to cross back of the Yarden River back into Ephraim. So they closed off the escape routes, and then they wanted to kill whoever they could find. So the problem was, in battle you don't necessarily know which soldiers are on which side. In other words, when you're dealing with Ammon people and Moab people and Midian people, they're Goyim. So, their whole look is different. They dress differently. Many of them could have been black, while the Jews were white. It's not hard to see the difference between your enemies. But Ephraim and Menashe, they're from Yosef. So, how can you tell that the people from Menashe who are trying to kill the people of Ephraim, how would they know when they're, the people are escaping? How are they going to know if it's from their family or the other? So they did a test. Very interesting test. So what do they do? So when the remnants of Ephraim, see now they're called the Platei Ephraim. See the ones who were left from Ephraim. This is the real Platei. It's an interesting play on words that the people of Ephraim insulted the people of Gilead by calling them the Platei Ephraim, and now the people of Ephraim are turning into the Platei Ephraim themselves, having to run away. They're the remnants. So it's kind of mita connected mita, measure for measure. And it could be they're also the Platei Ephraim, the lower ones, and could be the more dignified ones. They knew who they were and they killed them right off. But the lower ones, they didn't know who they were. So they're going to find out who they are. So they did a little test. So the Platei Ephraim said, Evron, let us go. So they weren't sure. Were they Ephraim? Were they us? Vayomer lo Anshe Gilad. The Anshe Gilad asked them, Hafrasi ato? Are you an Ephrasi? Ephras means a man from Ephraim. Are you from Ephraim? Because we'll kill you. Vayomer, they said, Lo, no. We're not from Ephraim. They lied to save their skins. So the people of Gilad were suspicious. Maybe they're liars. So there's a little test they did to make sure in this test they could not fool anybody. It seems that the people of Ephraim had a certain speech impediment, and they would pronounce their shins as sins. Instead of going sh, they would say sh. Right? Or maybe that's the way they spoke. We'll see. So this is what they did in Pasuk Vav. Vayomru lo. They said, Emor no shiboles. Please say the word shiboles. Now, what does shiboles mean? There's two different interpretations. Metzudas Tzion says shiboles can be a rapids of a river, and others say shiboles, we know, is a stalk of grain. So say for us the word shiboles. Vayomer, and they said siboles. Right? V'lo yochin l'daber came, because they weren't able to say shiboles. They didn't know how to say it correctly. They were pronouncing siboles. Used to be some certain Jewish ethnics in Europe. They had the same problem. You know, they couldn't say shin. They'd say, you know, sin. Right? So they said siboles. Vayochasu also. Then they would grab that guy. Vayishchatu el ma'avros ha'yerim. They'd slaughter him by the crossings of the Jordan River. Vayipol bo'esahi me'Ephraim. And how many people from Ephraim fell in battle? Arboim u'shnayim, all at 42,000 people of Ephraim. And that wipes out most of the Shevet. It's a tremendous shechita went on over here. Unbelievable. Over what? Over kavod. Over kavod. Basically, it was over kavod. Why didn't you call us? I mean, they were going to go to battle too. Certainly, you know, in other words, they may have had to kill a few thousand people as they won the battle, but this was relentless pursuit. To kill 42,000 is an unbelievably large number of people to kill. Parenthetically, it's so curious how it seems, who were the two tribes that got along the least amongst all the 12 tribes? Ephraim and Manasseh. And we know that the bracha that Yaakov gave, Yisimcha Lakim Ke'Ephraim Manasseh. Hashem should make you like people should bless themselves like the Ephraim and Manasseh. That's the blessing we give Friday night, to be like Ephraim and Manasseh. And we explained on Shalosh Shudas a couple of weeks ago, why did he make such a special? Why do we bless our children every Friday night to be like Ephraim and Manasseh? So many say the pshat is because these are two brothers who got along. They got along. In Mitzrayim, those are two brothers who got along.
There you go.
The other brothers didn't get along. Didn't get along with Yosef, Ephraim and Manasseh, and as I explained, where did that bracha come from? Because when Yosef brought the two sons to Yaakov, and he wanted Ephraim, who was the older one, Manasseh, who was the older one, to get the better blessing, so he positions Manasseh to Yaakov's right, and Ephraim to his left. And what happened? Yaakov switched. He put the right hand on Ephraim. And Yosef thought his father made a mistake. He said, Father, I think you're making a mistake. He said, No, I know what I'm doing. So first he gave the first bracha, and it says, he told him, Hamalach hagoy Eloshi mikol ra, hu yivarech es hane'arim, gives him the bracha. Yosef says, what are you doing? You're making a mistake. So he said, no, I know what I'm doing. And then he says, Yishimcha Elokim Ke'Ephraim Manasseh. Hashem should make you like Ephraim and Manasseh. So what's this? Why is there a second bracha? He gave the first bracha. Why a second bracha? And why Ephraim and Manasseh? So the answer is like this, very simple. You understand? You can imagine what were Ephraim and Manasseh doing while Yaakov and Yosef were arguing it out? They were quiet. They didn't misharai. Can you imagine if you have two grandchildren and the father wants to give this grandchild something better and the Zadie wants to give that grandchild something, you know, can you imagine that happened today? with the kind of spoiled children that are growing up today. Each one of the grandchildren will plead his case. But both of them were quiet. They didn't miss a rhyme. Menashe was the older one, and Yosef wanted to make him the better bracha, and all of a sudden, Yaakov makes a switch. You only see that Yosef reacts. Menashe doesn't react. And even when Yosef wants to switch and say, give Menashe to Ephraim, so then Ephraim doesn't react. They're quiet. And when Yaakov sees that the two grandchildren, they're not getting involved in whatever is decided, they're okay with that, that means, I see there's peace between you two guys. I'm going to give you another bracha that people should always want to be like you. So that's beautiful. So what happened over here?
It turned out to be the other way.
What happened over here? And this is the second time. Okay, the first time, all right, so they argued, and Gidon was able to diplomatically get out of it. But here, they're mamish tooth and nail. There was no brotherly love at all over here. So it remains a pella. It remains a wonder that will need further elucidation. Again, obviously, as we explained already in Yiftach, he had the mission of, it was like Yosef, but didn't have Torah. That was the key element. He did not have Torah. So you don't have Torah, then the peace can't exist. Even the one who's blessed, who's able to get along, without Torah, you see, you can't get along. Even if you're blessed, that more than anybody else, that you get along. You have a predisposition to get along better than anybody else. And if you don't have any Torah, you can get along worse than anybody else. That must be the explanation over there. Yeah, we'll see more in a minute.
Maybe it was because they were quiet in front of Yosef and Yaakov. They really were angry at each other, but out of kibbutz, they were quiet. And so the bracha that you say as a son is that you should show kibbutz. Then once they were gone, then they fought like crazy, and the tribes fought like crazy.
Okay, yeah, I mean, if you have the father figure there, it'll help. And that might be very good. You know what? That's very good, because remind me tomorrow. We still have to dig into this. We will see who really gets blamed for this. Surprise, surprise. Who are Chazal going to blame for all this bloodshed? Take a guess. Take a guess. Who's going to get blamed for all this bloodshed?
Yosef.
I read ahead, I know.
No.
Yosef? No.
Not Yosef. Yosef's not alive. Yosef's not alive. Medrash says Pinchas. Pinchas gets blamed because he did not intervene. And that, now, according to Rafal, that's very good now. Because when did Ephraim and Menashe, when they're quiet, when there's Yaakov and Yosef and there's elders guiding the traffic, and they're telling what should be out, we're not going to get involved if the Zaydi and the Tati are in this, we're going to be quiet. So Pinchas, who has the Bris Shalom, who's given the covenant of peace, supposed to make peace, right? So now it's time to make peace. And Pinchas was not far away from here at all. Shiloh was in the tribe of Ephraim. So it wasn't like he was all the way down in the south by Yehuda, let's say, and it's like a 2-day trip. The place would be a big inconvenience. It was not far away. He should have involved himself and say, guys, this is not proper. So Pinchas is the one who's blamed for a lot of things, unfortunately. And that's why you see that Ephraim and Menashe, okay, maybe there's some sibling rivalry, but it shouldn't have gotten to this, out of hand to this extent. So that's unfortunate.
But this is Ephraim's second time doing this. So
yeah.
Isn't it clear that they're the issue? I mean, Yiftach and his people, they were doing what they had to do. And now Ephraim comes along and says, you didn't ask us to get involved, and they said the same thing before. To me, it's...
See, the last one, it appears that Ephraim, even though he wasn't called, he and a few other tribes just joined in the battle. And they were able to at least kill a couple generals. They felt that they did something, and Gidon was able to play on that and say, oh, well, you killed the generals. You did more than I was able to do. Okay, fine. You gave us a certain amount of cover that we backed off. But here, I mean, it's very hard to understand, why Gidon didn't ask anybody, Yiftach didn't ask for any help. He asked, he asked, and why Ephraim didn't help. It's all very unclear.
I'm just saying that it seems that Ephraim is the guilty party, that's all. I mean, they got the history, they're just doing the same
Yeah,
thing.
so but Ephraim, so you have to remember the tradition is Ephraim, Yoshua came from Ephraim. It was kind of understood that Ephraim really has the better bracha. I mean, you have to remember, it's not Pashut here. They were given the bracha from Yaakov, that they are the more superior one. So if the Zaidi already said how it should be, what are you coming to argue on what the Zaidi said? It's not Stam. It's not simple jealousy. Zaidi said we're the better one. We're the one that are meant to carry the symbol of Yosef more than you. So why aren't you listening to what Zaidi said? It could be a great disaster if you're going to assume a leadership role that you don't deserve. So you could hear it's not just Stam jealousy. It's like you're going against what tradition says. As we know, many of the seat of leadership was in Ephraim. Shiloh was in Ephraim. It was not in Menashe.
Ephraim wasn't aware of the threat from the children of Ammon?
Who? So, okay, I don't know.
Why did they take the leadership and say, okay, we'll lead the battle?
Okay, so that's a good question.
After you won.
It's a good question. We don't have enough details to be able to sift through. I hear your point. Okay, so that's where civil wars come from.
The leader take leadership.
Okay.
After the fact.
Okay. And then they could say, well, listen, you were the east side. Okay, I hear. The whole thing is very difficult to understand because the reason why Ephraim split up, according to some of them, Menashe split themselves half and half, was because Menashe really they were Torah scholars, and Moshe Rabbeinu wanted. It was only Gad and Reuven who asked on the other side of the Jordan River. Where does half the tribe of Menashe come in? So if you recall, Moshe wanted half the tribe of Menashe because they were scholars, and hopefully they would influence positively on people on the east side. And by splitting up Menashe, putting half on one side, half on the other, that would kind of make Reuven, Menashe would always want to feel connected to both sides. And perhaps they can connect Reuven and Gad, not to feel separated. So it's all very difficult to sift through all this. Anyway, let's begin to explain the Shiboles business. This is very, why does the Navi have to tell us how they caught them? Just say they caught them and they killed them. Does it matter how they caught them and they killed them? Maybe they had CIA agents who were able to uncover their identities. I mean, who cares? How does that change our appreciation of the story, saying that you just said they killed them, they caught them and they killed them? There must be something that's special about the Shiboles and Siboles. Okay, so let's begin. This is going to take about maybe 20 minutes. I know we're almost finished for today. But let's begin. You'll notice a lot of interesting things. Remember, Shibolim are like stalks of grain. So let's remember, when Paro had his dream that Yosef interpreted, what was the second dream of Paro about? Stalks of grain. Sheva Shibolim, 7 stalks of grain, which Yosef was able to interpret. So that's already an interesting thing. Number 2, the entire life of Yosef and even his dreams, what was he involved with? Which really brought him to the rise to power was what? Grain. The sale of grain. Right? It's repeated so many times. If you even notice in Parshas Miketz, like the Torah belabors the point to talk about the grain, and he sold the grain, and they went to buy grain, which is really shibolos, stalks of grain. Okay. Now, Reb Tzadok explains like this. Reb Tzadok, in one of his Svarim, he says, I'll read a couple lines. He says, Shema shirotza lios melech u'moshe kedivrei achav. Why did Yosef want to be a leader, a king, as his brothers contested? Hayinu l'shem shemayim. That was for the sake of heaven. Lahamshich shefa u'parnesu l'hem al yoda. He wanted to bring down the good divine flow of Hashem and parnosa and a livelihood to his brothers. Shi'adu, it's known, Shuat sinur shel hashpa, because Yosef knew he was the conduit of blessing. How do you know this? Ki yadua is known, shekol hashpa hu derech hayesod. All hashpa, all good influence, comes from which one of the midos? Yesod. We've already said many times. You have the 5 midos of chesed through hod. Then you have the 7th one is malchus. The middle one is Yesod. Yesod is the connector. The 5 first ones are the lower levels. It's like the Oretz, right? L'cho Hashem ha'gedula v'ha'gevura v'tiferes v'netzach v'ha'od. Those are the 5 ones. Ki chol ba'ashamayim v'oretz, because everything in the heaven and the earth, l'cho Hashem ha'melacha, and to you comes the reign and the rule. So in other words, you've got all this blessing that Hashem wants to bring into the world, and Yesod, the midah of Yesod, is that midah which combines heaven and earth. It's the bridge. So very clearly, Yosef, who is the 6th shepherd of Yesod, so Yosef Tzadik Yesod Olam, so Yosef knew that from him would come the ability to bring sustenance down to the Jewish people, so he wanted to be the leader. If he would be the leader, he'd be that bridge to bring all of God's blessing down. And when we say Tzadik Yesod Olam, it means that the whole world is sustained through the Tzadik, like we know the story of Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa. Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa, the Gemara says, Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa, the whole world is supported by him, and he just has a little bit of buxer every day. But everybody benefits from him. Which means the nation, through their collective Sitkus piety, they deserve it, but the leader is mashpia, influences the nation to be tzaddikim. So you need the leader to influence people to be the tzaddikim who are deserving of this, and this was Yosef's talent. So that's why Yosef wanted to be the leader. So now his children and descendants of Ephraim and Manasseh, they're jockeying to see who is the one who's deserving to be this. Point 1. Point 2, we'll end with point 2. Reb Tzadok defines what does it mean to be called an Ephrasi. From Ephras, Ephraim, it says when the Jewish people are very special, when they're called Yakar, beloved, it says Haben Yakir li Ephraim. My precious child Ephraim. When are the Jews called Ephraim? When they're the Shomer Abris, when they keep the covenant, when they keep their morality. And they're called, every time that people are called Ephrasi, meaning to say that people like that were very moral and they didn't see any seminal discharge in an improper way in their lives. Now look at the word. Keri is the same letters as Yakar. Yakar means beloved, meaning they are upholding morality, as opposed to Keri means they're not upholding morality. So that, and it's interesting, who did Yiftach hang around with? The Reikim. The empty ones is Reish Yud Kuf, is the same letters of Yakar. Yakar, Keri, and Reik are all the same words. So if you're Reik, if you're empty, then you're going to have Keri. But on the other hand, you should become Yakar. You should be most... so when the Jews, and we said many times, the major test in the period of Shoftim was which Avera was Arayas, immorality. Jews are not murderers, but we have a Yetzer Hara to do immoral things. So the purpose of Jewish restraint is from Keri, not to have that kind of discharge, to become Yakar. Okay? And you find by Yosef that Rachel, when she died, she was buried where? It says Kever Rachel, but B'derech Ephras. On the way to Ephras. Again, you have Ephras, Ephraim, Ephrasi. Right? And we know that Ephras is also called Beis Lechem. The house of Lechem. Lechem bread comes from bor, from grain, which is shiboles. Right? More than that, the wife of Potiphar, when she wanted to seduce Yosef, I can't do this because I am in charge of everything except for the lechem which he eats. And the simile means his meals, but Chazal say means his wife, who he consumes, is called lechem as well. So bread is a euphemism for wife. So you see, there's a connection of success in having food is the restraint from arayas, from immorality. So to direct connection all these words, Beis Lechem, Ephras is Yakar, is precious, doesn't get involved in immorality. So being a tzaddik from immorality brings a shefa, a flow down to the world, right? So the question is, they're asking, so do you hold yourself to be an Ephrasi? Are you an Ephrasi? Meaning to say, are you such a good person you keep yourself away from arayas? You claim you're an Ephrasi. Ephraim means you have to be a holy guy. Do you think you're a holy guy? And they said no. Now on a simple level, they said no. Why? To save their lives. But the truth is, was also known. That's what our doc said. There must have been some undisclosed sins that they were doing. They weren't so moral. So the people of Ephraim were taking on the cause to being the leaders of Yosef. You have to be the most moral people in the world. Are you the most moral people in the world? Are you really that frosty? That's what they're asking. No, we're not. So I want to know it's a lie. The other hand, no, they really weren't. Now tomorrow we'll get to the Shibolus and Shibolus and see where that all fits in. You'll see we're building up to something here.